President Trump arriving in Osaka, Japan this morning for the G20 summit. All eyes will be on his meeting with Chinese President Xi on Saturday as the White House aims to make progress on trade. Joining us now, Larry Kudlow, White House National Economic Council Director. Larry, good morning to you, and thank you for being here. Big news we all woke up to this morning. In the Wall Street Journal this morning, there was a headline that China is insisting that the United States lift the Huawei ban, the Chinese telecom giant, as part of a trade deal. Is that true? Are there preconditions going into this meeting with President Xi?
Well, thank you, Sandra. No, there are no preconditions. I don't know where that story came from or what they're talking about. Look, the two leaders are going to meet on Saturday, I think about midday, and no preconditions have been discussed at all. President Trump looks forward to the meeting. We believe it's quite possible, if the meeting goes well, that the Chinese will come back to the negotiating table, and we might be able to pick up where we left off in May, where we completed roughly 90% of what could be a good agreement. It wasn't completed yet, but no preconditions going into this meeting, and we'll see what comes out of the meeting.
Not to nitpick there, Larry, but words are so important, as you know. Words can move markets. Back to the negotiating table. We just heard from the president in that interview yesterday morning with Maria Bartiromo that negotiations are continuing and they are active, are they not?
Yes, they are. The two sides, staff have been talking in recent days, for sure. And, in terms of the president's interviews yesterday with Maria and also before he got on Marine One, I mean, he said very, I think, clearly, look, he would like to have a good meeting, and we'd like to go back to the discussions and negotiations, but it has to be a good meeting. And he said that several times. And also, I want to remind, he said yesterday or the day before, as he has in recent weeks, he's perfectly happy where we are, where he is and where the U.S. is in these discussions. We have tariffs. We're gaining revenues from the customs duty. Our economy is doing very well. China's is doing rather poorly. And in fact, today we got a revision to the GDP report, still 3.1% overall, which is a great number. We're trending above 3. But business investment is picking up with intellectual property, which is hugely important.
And I know that's part of that.
Jumped about 12% at an annual rate. I just want to get that out because CapEx is absolutely vital, and our tax and incentive reforms were aimed at it. So I'm just saying we're in a good spot. That was what the president saying. He's perfectly happy with where we are. But
by that explanation and this explanation of a plan B by the president in that interview with Maria yesterday, I want to ask you, are you somehow setting up the potential for an exit, for this not getting done? It seems like you're tempering expectations. Here's the president in that interview yesterday.
Well, let me just tell you about China. My plan B with China is to take in billions and billions of dollars a month, and we'll do less and less business with them. We can just sort of say, hey, whatever business, fine. When you're losing $500 billion a year, if you didn't do business with them, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
So what is he implying there?
Well, again, he's implying that he's perfectly happy where we are and where he is in these so-called negotiations and talks. And if need be, we may move ahead. We may move ahead on additional tariffs.
Nothing was but bottom line, because these reports did move markets this morning, nothing was agreed upon before this meeting. Okay.
I don't know where those stories came from. It's too bad. I hate to say it, but it is fake news. Look, let's see what happens, just for the heck of it, without speculating or forecasting. The president says we're in a good spot. He also says he's happy to talk to President Xi. They have a good relationship. And if something good comes out of those talks, or China were to offer us a good deal in the future, then we might be willing to change some of our views. But, first, let's have the talks. And secondly, remember, Sandra, hang on one second. It's very important. Remember, when the talks were interrupted last May, we insisted, and we will continue to insist, structural changes on intellectual property and forced transfer of technology.
It's big stuff. There's no doubt.
And enforcement has to be part of the story. And we don't know how this is going to end. Folks ought to stop forecasting. Let's just see what happens.
All right, I have 5 seconds left. Do interest rates go down, stay the same, go up? What happens next?
market interest rates, market rates have been falling for quite some time, and I think that's going to continue to be the case.
The Federal
and by
Reserve.
the way, the stock market is roaring. That's a good sign for the economy and investors of all stripes. Markets are saying to the Fed, lower your target rate, take away the hikes of last December. It's a very clear, it's not my message alone, not the president's. The markets are telling that to the Fed.
Well, the president
and by the way,
suggested
I
that.
think the Fed will deliver. That's just my personal view. I'm going by the markets. That's all.
That sounds like a forecast. You're predicting an interest rate cut. Larry Kudlow.
No.
Is that fair or no?
I'm just following markets, and I'm not in a forecasting mode. But
it sounded like one.
My own view is in sync with the market view. Let's leave it that way.
Got it. We will leave it there. Come back soon. Larry Kudlow, thank you.
Thanks, Sandra.